I've gone ahead and created a melody, complete melody, based on the chord progression of 1, 4, 5, 1 in the key of C. That's C, F, G, 7, and C. And I've observed all the rules that we talked about with how to pick those notes. So if you look here, you'll see that all the downbeats are using the chord tones from whatever chord they belong to. Bar number 3 starts on a B natural, which is part of the G chord. We've got a passing tone. It goes up to a D, D, E, F. F on a G7 chord is a chord tone. And then it ends on all chord tones in the last measure, and we've got all these really great skips and leaps. So let me just play the melody for you. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, so not mind-altering art, but it absolutely works and it fits with the chords. So the next part of this is to sort of build form and articulation into your composition. So to create form, you can do that with maybe using different rhythmic patterns for the first 8 measures, something busier for the second 8 measures. You could create form by choosing a chord progression for the A section or for the first 8 measures, and then being consistent with that, and then maybe choosing a different chord progression for the second 8 measures. So you can do it with melody and harmony, but you can also do it with the number 5 on the assignment sheet, which is to use dynamics and articulation. So let's start with doing dynamics. And I would caution you not to go too crazy with this. A little bit of spice on the food is good, but you don't want to take the cap off and start putting in different dynamic levels on every note. It's sort of impossible to play and not really that musical. Oftentimes the melody itself kind of tells us how it wants to be performed in sort of dynamic terms. So let's just say that we started kind of mezzo forte, and then here maybe you could crescendo as this line goes up, and then diminuendo as the line goes down. So let's see what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Here comes the crescendo. And back soft again. So it has a little grow, and then it sort of comes back down again in the last measure. So that's kind of nice. It adds just a little bit of, expression to the sound of the melody. You could add an accent to a note if you wanted a certain note to kind of pop out. But it's probably painting in broader strokes in terms of dynamics is better. Something like this. Same thing with number 4, creating form. Maybe the first 8 measures of your composition are soft, and then the second 8 measures are louder, or vice versa. So you can kind of divide the sections up in terms of dynamic contrast as well. Something else that works really well is to add articulation. So maybe we would say that the first half of this melody is going to be very smooth and connected, which we would call legato. And I could put in slur marks like that over the first part of the melody. So we're going to smoothly play the melody in the beginning. And this really sounds good when you play like a wind instrument or a string instrument, where you can draw the bow across the strings and play very smoothly, or blow into a flute, let's say, and be very legato. Piano, it's a little bit harder to play legato, but I'll do my best. And then maybe even through these last 2 notes, we'll go ahead and make those legato as well. But when we get to the G chord, I'm going to change flavor, and I'm going to play all this stuff short in measure number 3, and then back to smooth and connected for measure number 4. So now we've added some articulation to the performance. You can experiment with this. Maybe you're not going to know what this is going to sound like until it gets performed, but you should know that some articulations are literally impossible. For instance, I hope that's showing up on this. Let me make it a little bit bigger. If you're inside of a slur marking and then you write a staccato note, it's literally impossible to be both smooth and disconnected at the same time. So that doesn't work. So you got to just think a little bit about what you're asking people to do and make sure that it actually makes sense. So let me play this one for you, and let's see what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, smooth. 2, 3, smooth. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Right? So let me do it again. The third bar is going to be staccato. Cool. So, yeah, I think that adds a lot, you know? So try that out. Put something in there. You can also work with tempo. You could make this piece slow or fast. I wouldn't do too much tempo changing, but you know, it could accelerate or it could decelerate at some point. Again, it's like cooking. You're just going to add a little bit of spice to it. So when you're done, you've got 16 measures. Chord symbols have to be written at the top. Make sure that they start where you want them to be played in the measure at the beginning. If there's 2 in a measure, you would write them maybe beat 1 and beat 3. Don't put the chord symbols in the middle of the measure, because then I'll play it in the middle. It's not good. They should start where you want them to start. Okay. So you'll have 16 measures, melody, chord changes, some dynamics, simple, and a little bit of articulation. And you will take a picture of it with your phone. If you have the ability to scan something in, that's cool. Hopefully the resolution is good enough that when I get them, I can see them. And my goal for this is that I'll collect these from the class, and I'll pick, if not all of them, many of them, and I'll come back here to the studio and we'll record them, and then you can hear what your composition sounds like. So I hope this has been helpful to kind of go through it. Maybe I'll post like a finished example of an entire assignment that you can look at. Get started, and if you have questions, you can talk to me about it when we meet next online, or you can always go to the chat or send me an email. Okay, good luck. I hope you have fun with